Okay, welcome back. Let's continue with our course on general theory of relativity. Today we are going to discuss one of the very important topic, that is invariance of the space-time interval. Today we are going to talk about the proper time, that is the space-time interval, and its invariant. It's a part of course PH 4205 at IISCR Calcutta. Before going ahead, let's briefly summarize what happened so far. We have a concept of space-time. It is not just the space and time as in the case of Newtonian mechanics. So we have combined them geometrically. We have a reference frame with the space as well as time. In this case, there are four dynamical degree of freedom for a single particle. It is given by time as well as space. And the velocity of the particle is called force velocity, which is tangent to the motion of the particle, that is given by UA is equal to x dot A, where x dot is a differentiation with respect to the proper time, which is given by t dot, x dot, y dot, and z dot, the individual coordinate. If the particle is time-like, then we can use arc length as our parameter for describing the motion of particle, and we have a velocity is a differentiation with respect to the proper time or arc length. In such case, the force velocity is normalized, that is UA dot UA is equal to 1. In the case of light, we have UA is equal to 0, that is propagates along null direction, and we cannot normalize the velocity. The Lagrangian of a free particle is given by L is equal to half t dot square minus x dot square y dot square minus z dot square. This minus is coming because of the Minkowskian space-time, which has a negative to describe the space-like null and time-like events. When we normalize the velocity, the Lagrangian takes the value of half for the time-like trajectory and 0 for the light-like trajectory. That is the difference between time-like and light-like trajectories, which is described by the value of the Lagrangian itself, which is half for time-like and 0 for the light-like. And that way you distinguish the equation of motion for these two particles. Of course, once we have defined the Lagrangian, if you have an external force, we can even add the potential, and that would define the special relativistic dynamics. It has been the conventional standard to do that in field theories. However, currently we are interested only in the free particle. Let us closely look at the ds square, or the interval between the two space-time event. Let's say we have two events, A and B, in the space-time. Let us say these two events are observed by the two different Lorentz frames, O1 and O2. Let's say we have a first Lorentz frame, O1, which has a coordinate t, x, y, z, and the event A is given by t1, x1, y1, and z1, and the event B is given by the coordinate t2, x2, y2, and z2. Let's say that ds square is the separation between these two events, or the space-time interval between these two events. Let's say we have a second observer, which is also a Lorentz observer. He or she could be moving with the velocity with respect to first one or rest. It doesn't matter. Let's simply say that it is another Lorentz observer who is having the coordinate system described by t1, x1, y1, and z1. Because they are Lorentz frames, we have time also changing between the two observers. In the Newtonian case, you will have to stick to the same time. Let's say that t1 prime, x1 prime, y1 prime, and z1 prime are the coordinates of the event A with respect to the observer O2. In the same way, the event B is described by t2 prime, x2 prime, y2 prime, and z2 prime. and the space-time interval measured by the observer O2 is given by ds prime square. Now the question is whether these two intervals, should they be related or they should be independent of each other. The question is, should there be any relation between the ds square and ds prime square, the space-time interval as observed by two different Lorentz frames. For a better understanding, let us assume that the event A and B are connected by a light-like path. That is, there is a light propagating from A to B, and that is what we call as a connected by light-like path. Because of the basic postulates of special theory of relativity, we know that the velocity of light should be constant and same for all observer. This makes that and the light always propagate as a ds square is equal to 0. So this makes the observer A and B separated by a light-like path. So ds square should be equal to ds prime square equal to 0. Otherwise, the velocity of light would be different for the both frames. So this constraint us to have for a light-like separated curves, the space-time interval should be same and equal to 0 in all reference frame. Extending this argument further, even for light-like curve, we say that the space-time interval between the two event ds square must be equal to ds prime square for all inertial or Lorentz observer O1 and O2. Is to say that the space-time interval should be Lorentz invariant. I believe you have already done the Lorentz transformation and so on. If you look at the Lorentz transformation as a matrix, then you know that the determinant of the matrix would be +1. When you have a transformation matrix whose determinant is 1, then we know that such matrix preserves the distance between the 2 points, or we call it as a orthonormal transformation. The same is valid for the Lorentz transformation, and the space-time interval between the Lorentz transformation or Lorentz frames remain invariant. There are these two ways of seeing it. This is essentially similar to the rotation in the Newtonian mechanics, where you have a determinant is 1, that means it preserves the distance. Rotation doesn't change the distance between the 2 points. Same is valid because one interpretation of Lorentz transformation is that it is a rotation between the space and time, and that is what leaves the space-time distance or interval invariant in the Lorentz transformation. In short, length of a space-time interval between the two events are same or invariant under Lorentz transformation. The force velocity for the rest observer in the Lorentz frame is given by UA equal to 1, 0, 0, 0. So unlike in the Newtonian rest frame, the force velocity can't be 0 because time has to flow. There is no way of stopping a time. That is what makes it the UA is equal to 1, 0, 0, 0, but not 0, 0, 0, 0. In the case of Newtonian mechanics, we have a rest observer considered as a 0, 0, 0, while time doesn't come as an independent degree of freedom. While adding the time should be always flowing. In the space-time diagram, we have time along y-axis and the space along x-axis. This is how you represent the space-time diagram. Let us look at all the rest observer. They will be moving in a line parallel to the y-axis. They will be not moving. If they are moving, then their slope would change. If they are a rest observer, their velocity, spatial velocity is 0, and only motion is along the time-like axis where the time flows at the rate 1. The space-time interval in this case for a time interval dt is ds itself. So that is why sometimes ds is called the proper time, or it represents the unit of the time. But for each observer which is moving, the proper time could be different, but coordinate time is just a measure of some hypothetical reference. It doesn't have any physical meaning of time. The space-time interval, which is invariant, that is what we call the proper time. Let's consider the particle moving with the 4 velocity UA. For simplicity, we can consider it to be time-like observer. Then we have UA is equal to T dot, X dot, Y dot, and Z dot. The dots are taken with respect to arc length parameter, or now we call it the proper time. Now we have seen that it also can be written as a gamma into 1 Vx, Vy, and Vz. Gamma is dt by ds, which can be eventually written as a 1 over square root of 1 minus v square, where v square is a square of the velocity of the particle. In the space-time diagram, the trajectory of a time-like particle is given by the straight line with the slope given with the velocity of the particle. So we can see that UA is given as a gamma into 1 minus V. Now we know that the light-like curve would propagate along a straight line with the angle 45 degree with respect to x-axis. That is a limit at which anything can move. Beyond that, it is not possible to move. So all the time-like observers will be confined to angle between pi by 2 to pi by 4, and the pi by 4 to 0 is a space line. Now let us look at the space-time interval for a given time interval dt. We can compute it as a d square is equal to dt by dx square. We pull out dt square, and then we have 1 minus dx by dt square, and we know that dx by dt is the spatial velocity, and we have ds square is equal to dt square into 1 minus vx square, or simply v square. We have ignored the y and z coordinate. In short, it can be written as a 1 by gamma square dt. So dt is a coordinate time here, whereas ds square is a proper time. You'll see that this itself come as a time dilation between the observer who is rest in the frame and the observer which is moving. So that we will see a little later. Let's continue with this. So in other words, ds is equal to, we have 1 by gamma into dt. Let's look at moving Lorentz observer, and let's try to see how we transform the events between the two Lorentz observers. Let O and O prime be two Lorentz observers or Lorentz frames moving with the relative velocity VA. We have seen that the 4 velocity can be written as VA is equal to T dot, X dot, and so on, or in other words, gamma into 1 minus V, where gamma is 1 by square root of 1 minus V square. V is a spatial velocity of frame. Without loss of generality, we can assume that the frame O is at rest, and the frame O prime is moving with respect to a velocity VA. So this is somewhat confusing sometimes. It looks like we are going in the direction of demanding a global rest frame in terms of O, which is with the velocity 0. However, here it is a relative concept. These two are moving with respect to each other with the 4 velocity VA. Let T, X, Y, Z be the coordinate in the frame O, and T prime, X prime, Y prime, Z prime be the coordinate in the frame O prime. And we know how to relate these two coordinates. It is given by the Lorentz transformation. We know that you are all familiar with the Lorentz transformation. I am currently not going over the definition of Lorentz transformation. It's fairly straightforward at this stage. It assumes that the space-time interval is remain invariant, and then you would simply get that. We will do otherwise. We say that this is a transformation, a Lorentz transformation, and show that in this case the space-time interval remains same, invariant. The basic idea here is to show ds square is equal to ds prime square if you are having this transformation. In other words, you can derive this transformation demanding this condition. In any case, we write dt prime as a gamma into dt minus v dx, and dx prime is equal to gamma into dx minus v dt. So we have frames moving with the constant velocity, so both gamma as well as v are constant here, so we don't have to differentiate them. However, when you have an acceleration, you would have to need a more general way of doing, but especially now we are only worried about special theory of relativity. Now dt square is equal to gamma squared. It simply square this, it's a simple exercise. We get dt square v square dx minus 2v dx dt. On the other side, dx prime square is given by gamma square into dx square v square dt square minus 2v into dx dt. Now we subtract these two. That is what we need to find out the space-time interval, and then we see that the same factors cancels out, and we left with dt prime square minus dx prime square is equal to gamma square into dt square 1 minus v square minus dx square into 1 minus v square. We combine the common terms and simplify this. We get gamma square into 1 minus v square into dt square minus dx square. Now from this, you see that the gamma square is 1 by 1 minus v square, and this cancels out, or this turns out to be 1, and we get dt square minus dx square. This essentially shows that the space-time interval remains invariant under the Lorentz transformation. Now let's quickly look at the time dilation. Here, let's say we have two events, A and B, which is seen by two different Lorentz observer. Let's say the Lorentz observer O prime is given by t prime x prime. We consider it is at the origin and not moving. That means to say that A is given by t naught prime 0 0 0, and the B is also at rest after some time interval t1 prime. The coordinate of B is given by t prime 1 0 0 0. So they are rest with respect to the observer O1. So their only time is changing. Now in this case, we have a space-time interval between events A and B is given by ds square is equal to dt prime square, that is given by t1 prime minus t0 prime square. Taken C to be 1, so space-time interval ds has the same unit as a time, and that's why it is called proper time. As I have already told, that is a basic measure of time. The dt itself is a coordinate time interval that itself may not mean anything. That is why we show that the different observer has a different time. That is what we call is a time dilation. Let's see the same event is observed by another observer, which we call O, which has a coordinate t, x and y. Now we see that the observer O prime is moving with respect to observer O with the velocity VA. It could be anything, it don't have to be Vx. So we say that it is moving with the velocity VA. We can call O is the lab frame, and the O prime is the frame in which the clock is at rest, or the rest frame of the clock. Now the observer O prime is moving with respect to the lab observer O with the velocity V in an arbitrary direction. The coordinates of the event in O primes are given by A is equal to t0 0 0 0 and tb is equal to t1 prime 0 0 0. That means the observer O prime is a rest with respect to the clock. Now the observer O now is a lab or the rest frame in which we are present. It is in fact moving with the relative velocity with respect to O prime or O prime is moving with respect to the lab. So the interval here may be given as, if the both axes matched at t is equal to t0, then we have a event A is given by t1 0 0 0, and B is given by t1 dx dy and dz. Now since the proper time is invariant, we have ds square is equal to dt square, that is also equal to, should be dt prime ds prime square. So since the dx prime, dy prime and dz prime all are themselves 0, we have ds square is equal to dt prime square is equal to ds prime square is equal to dt square minus dx square minus dy minus dz square. That is given by, we pull out dt square, then we have 1 minus dx by dt square, dy by dt square and dz by dt square, or in other words 1 minus v square into dt square. Now we get the relation that the t prime is equal to dt into square root of 1 minus v square. So depending on the velocity, you see that these two observers will have a different proper time, and they see the event with a different time interval, even though coordinate time interval may be same. So this is what we call as a time dilation. We can see it comes only from the invariance of the proper time, or ds square. So the time for each observer is different. So what it sacred in a special theory of relativity is that the space-time interval ds square, which should be same for all Lorentz observer. I will stop here, and we will continue in the next video